Okay, time to rank the final piece of this wave of Hammond collection figures. I've had this one sitting around for a few weeks and I haven't gotten around to doing the video for it yet. It is the JP3 female Velociraptor, which comes as a Amazon exclusive box set with a JP3 grant. And I bought one that was used because that's all I could find, because finding this thing as an Amazon exclusive is a fucking nightmare. Thankfully, the one I got appears to be completely intact. It actually comes in the original packaging, which is just a bit damaged is all. Possibly when this was sold as used, maybe it was more so that it was damaged than used, the packaging. But the otherwise it appears intact. I've already opened this to make sure, there was something inside of it. Before I let it sit for a few weeks, but we can go ahead and do a reveal still. This should work. Oh, look at that. It's like an inverted box. Yeah, very strange. You get like the kind of packaging you associate with the Hammond collection, with like the front window, the back with the blurb and the figure picture and the film logo, but it's all inside of the shipping container, so it's all inverted. Very weird. The main part here, this is actually just like a removable pullout, like a thin layer of cardboard. So you just pull that out and get rid of it, and then you just have the plastic underneath with the figure and all the accessories associated with the Grant figure. Yeah, so I'll pull that out real quick. Specifically, I do notice that like mine is still bound. Like it has not been removed from the plastic. At least the Raptor hasn't. It looks like there are ties on the Grant figure that are missing. So yeah, this has been opened and temporarily had the Grant figure removed, apparently. Oh, I should turn on more light here. I'm gonna pause this. There we go. A little bit more light. So yeah. So whoever got this, they did actually remove Grant from the packaging and put him back in. I'm curious if there's something wrong with Grant. We haven't ever reviewed the human figures. So I'm gonna just take a quick glance at Grant just because he's here, Yeah, he's a little weird. Something seems kind of weird about his face. Will that focus like it's really a face? Looks weirdly maybe smushed sideways? I don't know. It's like his chin is asymmetrical. I wonder if that's like they bought it, they didn't like the face and they got rid of it for that reason. Maybe. I mean, it's your standard Hammond collection human figure. You got multiple joints, You got the double jointed knee so that you can move the legs a bunch. Um, yeah, I mean, the face to me does seem to be significantly lower quality compared to the actual main Grant figure. Like the individually packaged, mass produced Hammond collection figure. Yeah, the JP3 one looks really inferior, which is too bad. I mean, neither one's perfect, but like, yeah, the face, it really looks like a. I don't remember what this is from, but there was like a movie or something where there's like a kid who was cloned. Oh, it's Futurama, isn't it? Where the kid's cloned with his face smushed against the glass. It kind of looks like they cloned Grant with his face smushed against the glass, but just on like the one side instead of like flat for like the pig nose effect. I think that was Futurama that did that. Um, so yeah, I would say as far as quality control goes, that's something to keep an eye out for. Um, it is like a different body sculpt. He's even got like a different belt and everything. I'm surprised they went that far with this to like actually do that. Seems kind of unnecessary. Yeah, then you get some accessories. You get a little backpack, which I guess, yeah, we can discuss that stuff too. My backpack has a weird silver paint smeared on the bottom of it for some reason. Either that or that's damage. Actually, can't tell. Yeah, that might just be plastic scoring. Yeah, I think that's actually yeah, it's like molded green plastic, I think. I think the plastic is just damaged there. It's like scuffed. And then yeah, you get extra hands. You get the raptor eggs. Little raptor eggs are kind of neat. Um, they're like itty bitty little like fucking chiclets or something. They're actually like speckled, kind of like the eggs in the movie. I doubt you saw anything. I didn't give the camera enough time to focus, but also it's a goddamn egg. Cool. I don't know what you're gonna ever do with those because they're incredibly tiny. I feel like they just disappear. And then you get the little like camera bag or whatever that Billy has. It looks like it opens. Can you put the eggs in it? That'd be kind of neat. Yeah. Okay. Well, it does open up. Not very well. Um, just kind of a weird little pop top clasp thing. But yeah, it's got two little cubbies in there that you can put the eggs inside. Which is not at all how it looked in the film because if I remember correctly, the eggs are just kind of in there amongst like parachutes and other stuff. Like the eggs in this thing are like the size of the bag. But it's still cool that it is there. It's still cool that we get the bag. It's kind of funny because like the bag is like really oversized compared to the figure, then like really undersized compared to the eggs, which is weird because like the eggs should be eggs are like hand size. Yeah, I guess the eggs are a little oversized then compared to the figure. But then the bag is really oversized. And the issue is just that the bag is hard plastic and not cloth. So it can't like accommodate everything. Also, I put it on the JP grant. Maybe it looks better on the other one. But probably not. It looks like his head might be removable too, which can help with some stuff. We know the hands are removable because he comes with new hands. I assume you have to remove the head to well, no, because the backpack has like a strap, so you probably remove the arms to put on the backpack or something, or just slip them over, maybe actually. I don't know. Well, we're not here though for Grant anyway. We're here for the raptor. We're always here for the dinosaurs. I'm only reviewing that because it's part of the set. So, female raptor. We're looking at, yeah, the same kind of standard stuff where you get, your separate little tail. It's got wire in it to be bendy. This is the third, repaint retool of the raptor we've looked at. We know what we're in for. The majority of the discussion on the dinosaur is going to be on, well, really just accuracy. That's all we can really comment on because the sculpt is not changing dramatically or changing, probably not changing in any way, other than I guess maybe not having quills. Actually, I'm curious now that I think about it. I wonder if it's got its own head sculpt compared to the other two. I did grab the JP3 Raptor for a comparison. The male, I mean. So we can see if it does appear different compared to that. I can remove it from the packaging. Here we go. Oh, yeah, we're getting her out. It's always a process removing something that's entombed in plastic. Which is a whole different topic we could talk about. Why are modern day action figures still entombed in plastic? We'll never know. Honestly, we probably do know. It's probably to make them harder to steal. It turns a small figure into a big hunk of plastic because you need to cut the binds, you need to open the package, and I imagine that's the driver motivation. Keep them in the plastic so that it is harder for it to be stolen. It has been successfully extricated from its plastic tomb. Okay, so first things first, we can confirm that compared to the JP3 Raptor, And the JP1 Raptor, this has a neck like the JP3 Raptor, capable of a greater kind of range of motion, with that extra kind of hinge in there. The forearms feel really flimsy, like not the joints, but the material, the rubber. These are like rubbery forearms. Like if I hold the arm still back here, there's like a lot of flex in these. Yeah, that's not true of like the JP3 male. These arms are pretty stiff. So I wonder if the material used to make the female, if they cut some corners on that, specifically for like the exclusivity of the figure. Maybe it keeps the cost down for the double pack. That's really weird. They're like jarringly soft from the elbow down. Like the upper arm is the same as like everything else has ever been. It's just this section of the arm is like super flimsy plastic. Makes me really nervous that it's not going to last. Attaching the tail. Doesn't seem to have any particular orientation. Just snaps in. Boom. There it is. Yeah, basically your standard Raptor. The weird kind of thumb and two finger look to the hands, which I've never figured out where that design decision came from. The face is very similar to the male Raptor. It's got that snarl that I talked about in the male Raptor video, where like the lower lip curls up on the bottom jaw there. So it's a very similar sculpt overall. I think it might be the same sculpt. Maybe the eye placement's a little different. That's hard to tell. No, I think it is different. It's a different skull sculpt. Maybe the jaw is just the same. But I think the shape is subtly different. Like the eye placement feels a little different. The male head feels a little longer, maybe. Part of that might be like the placement of it. It's really hard to tell. It's subtle. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the quills on top, so it is different. I'm just trying to figure out if it's like, somebody edited the base file that they print these with and just remove the quills, or if it's actually a whole new sculpt. And it does seem to me that it's a whole new sculpt. And that's just surprising to me. Yeah, the feet are basically the same as every iteration of the Raptor has been. We already went through the hands. The tail is the usual stuff. Yeah, I mean, basically every discussion about the new sculpt is talked about in the male figure, so that doesn't really change here with the female. Basically dealing with the same. I mean, the body sculpt never changed, but yeah. We get another new head that's just subtly slightly different. It doesn't really change much with the figure, that kind of stuff. Yeah. The lack of ankle joints on these figures is kind of weird because it kind of limits what you can do with the feet, it feels like. They have like a joint between the toes and the foot area, but like the back heel here, there's no joint here to like move anything. That's true, I think, of the old figure too, I think the original. It just kind of limits the posability a little bit, especially in regards to like posing it and having it feel like it's not unbalanced. Like it's just sitting awkwardly on like parts of its feet, stuff like that. Yeah, getting its feet to actually kind of sit flat is like weird. Again, these are discussions that are true for any iteration of the any iteration of the Hammond Collection Raptor, rather. So let's talk accuracy. We've done just a general overview of the figure. In terms of like paint job accuracy, I see no major issues. It's a fairly simple paint job. It seems to me, I think the eye socket color is a little different. Maybe I should have done this in like way better light. Yeah, the head color, the paint on the head color looks subtly different than the body spots. It looks a little more gray than brown on the head. And maybe that's just, I think that's intended. because there are spots on the body on the back of the head that are connecting to the body spots, but they're separate pieces of plastic. I think that's correct. I think that's and not correct. I mean, I think that's intended. Um, correct is another point of discussion. I'm not hugely familiar with the JP3 Raptors. Um, I mean, you know, I've seen the movie, of course, but they're not like they don't show up in my dreams like the JP1 and 2 Raptors do. You know, I'm more of a traditionalist in terms of the Raptor designs that I like. I like the first two the most. Not to say that the JP3 Raptor is a bad design by any means. I have more, you know, nostalgia and history for the old one. Also, this Raptor's tail is like being really fucky. Like I can't move this tail. Like once it's plugged in, it doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't want to rotate. It doesn't want to like shift the position relative to the joint. I don't want to fuck with it too much because I don't want to like destroy it, but kind of weird. The male raptor, yeah, his tail's very mobile. That's going to be a problem with just like the joint that connects the little ball socket in the tail, presumably, to the like connection point within the body, the way it snaps in there. Yeah, for some reason, this one is just bad. I can get some mobility, but it's like really stiff, and it's stiff. It's one of those joints that's stiff to the point of like worrying about breaking something, which I always get upset about. You know, I don't mind a stiff joint if it's stiff in a way that it looks natural. And this is just slightly askew in a way that bothers me. You can see the tail looks a little weird in the socket position. Whatever. It's this is not a figure I anticipated very strongly, so it is what it is. Yeah, it's it's not going to win any awards in my heart or probably most other people's hearts, unfortunately. And that's just kind of been true of the Hammond Collection Raptor, especially. That's where a lot of the big feet complaints came from. But accuracy, to me, I don't think the body colorization should be different. It's really hard to see in like an in-film image. Maybe the eye socket color is different than the body spots. We could see the eye as kind of this golden yellow for the figure and the CG model on the film. So that looks good. Regarding the head sculpt, we do have the ridges over the nose before you get to the eye socket present in the sculpt as well, which is good. It should be there. It's kind of distinctly the thing that makes other than the color palette and the male's quills, the little nose ridge is the thing that really sets the JP3 Raptors apart. It being more prominent. So it's good that that's captured on the figure. Otherwise, what would be the goddamn point? Here's kind of a body shot. You could see the striping going down the leg, the striping on the back, a lot of lateral striping, which is in the figure but doesn't feel as distinctive as it looks in the film, looking at this shot in particular. This shot also makes the eye socket look really red, which I think is accurate. We'll see some more images. So really it should be probably a pretty red eye socket here, and this is much more of a brown. It looks pretty vibrantly red. So it should be like I would interpret the body color as like gray stripes, not this reddish brown with a very like deep crimson red eye socket coloring, which is not really here in the figure either. For whatever reason, like that's a deeper gray brown than the body's. Like the body's got like the striping's like the color of dried blood actually. Oh, also the dew claw is not painted, of course. Yeah. And then the feet have this different shade of like reddish brown on them, which probably tracks with the model we're seeing here. It's a little hard to get a good look at the feet because they're not clown shoes like the Hammond Collection figure is, but yeah, it looks like the bottom of the leg is just more consistently dark, probably the same color more or less as the striping. Here's a little behind the scenes shot. You get a much better look at the feet. I should be looking closer at my video preview to make sure you can see that. Yeah. So you got the feet down here. You can see that the feet do look like they're this more reddish color. You can see the body is basically white or very light gray with like dark gray stripes. You can see the stripes are on the front of the thigh, not on the side like the figure. So there's that. The hands do appear to be basically the same color as the rest of the body. They have lateral stripes on the arms. There are lateral stripes on the arms for this figure, so there's props for that. Obviously, the finger size is not accurate. I mean, you could see that the innermost finger on the Raptors is smaller, but it's not like that small. So I don't know why they've done such a small third finger on these Hammond Collection Raptors. I really don't know where that comes from. Yeah, you could see the eye socket there does have that red around the eye and then like gray striping around it that comes down beneath it and some striping kind of on the upper end of the snout. That's kind of represented in the figure, but not very accurately. This kind of just looks like they slapped some gray stripes on it. We're like, close enough. Yeah, I don't know. The striping pattern on this figure just kind of looks like dinosaur striping number 37 and not, trying to capture the patterning here. And maybe that's the consequence of the female raptor patterning just being stripes and not being, as distinctive as the male's colorization, which has that distinctive white stripe, the red highlights on the head, all that kind of stuff, which is more easily captured in toy form, maybe because it's so, distinctive. And here's another shot of the head, behind the scenes practical effects shot. This one doesn't look red in the eye socket, so maybe that's the difference. Maybe the practical model is more brown and it's the CG that's more red. But I would say that one's pretty distinctively red. Were there two female raptors in the film? Because I always thought it was this one single female raptor. I mean, it could also be the exposure of the images being different. Like the lighting maybe conceals the red. I would say the red is present more often than not, and so the eye socket should be that more red color. I wonder if it's that way in JWE2. I'm actually kind of curious about that now. I'm going to take a quick peek here and see what we see. So when we look at the JWE female, yeah, the JWE Raptor is more of like dark gray stripes on a white body, much more accurate to what I'm seeing in these reference images. And then, yeah, it has like the redder eye socket, I think. Although there's a lot of fan images mixed in, so maybe I should be more careful what I'm looking at. Okay, yeah, that should be an in-game one there. So that, yeah. I think there's some... I think I've seen some complaints about like the body plan of it, but I think the in-game one does look better. The redder on the eye socket. So I think this is a pretty inferior iteration of the Raptor. I think it's the worst. And I think I'm going to call this the worst Raptor. Basically completely independent of the fact that it's the third, version of this Raptor I've gotten. I think if this would have been the first one, this would still be the worst. I think the paint job is the most inaccurate. So it's suffering from basically every issue all the other figures have, plus the paint job being weird. The browns and stuff, it's weird. Oh shit. Okay, that didn't affect the recording. Great. So yeah, I think honestly, I think this might drop quite a lot in the rankings inadvertently. I think the difference between like B and C tier is deceptively minor. I mean, I think this figure suffers from the same kind of inaccuracies that plagued the Amber Collection Lost World Raptor. In that the paint job is only roughly similar to what it's supposed to represent. Yeah, but I like the... Yeah, I think it'll go in the middle. I think we follow basically the same template up here, where the Hammond Collection Raptors, I think, are slightly better for their line than the Amber Collection Raptors, despite them having more issues. I think just because they're at a smaller scale, they win a few points to put them ahead of the other one. I think they're you know, I think the Amber collection is stronger in some other ways, like the feet, than the other one. Yeah, it's possible. Like I have the JP3 male or female. I don't remember if there was a female Amber collection Raptors. So it's possible that the Amber collection iteration of those figures could pull ahead of their other versions. But yeah, I think I like the head sculpt more on the Hammond collection one than I did on the Amber for the regular Raptor. And then the Tiger Stripe was just really deprioritized for being an inferior paint job in terms of capturing the creature from the film. So yeah, I think the Parrot is a pretty okay job. It's just a bad sculpt, or not altogether bad, just has some issues. So I think that's where it goes. I think it just gets slapped in the middle there, in between those two. Very much a C tier figure though, not a great one. Well, at least we're justifying the existence of lower tiers here. Yeah, that actually makes it my lowest ranked figure in the line. Which I think is correct. Yeah, given that I think it's the worst version of the Raptors, by a decent margin in terms of paint job, and the Raptors are weak links of the line to begin with, I think that totally tracks as to where it ends up. Yep, it's too bad. Maybe if the line goes long enough, we'll get a new Raptor sculpt or something at some point. At least new feet and hands would be great. And yeah, maybe that'll come up with something that's a little bit more exciting. Maybe we can get these guys out of B tier. So what's next for the line? Well, we've got a lot of other figures that have been announced. Recently, the Brocky's been revealed. I think we're due for the like the Irritator, the baby Stegosaurus, the juvenile T-Rex, Metriacanthosaurus. I think all those are the next set that are coming out or are already out if you find them at the right place. It seems like the supply issues of trying to track these figures down are not going to abate. It seems like it's going to keep being a problem, especially if you want to find these on store shelves and not just order one online. I like to know what I'm buying. I like to look in the box and look at least through part of the figure that I can see to see if there's any issues with the paint jobs or something. And that's why I don't like ordering these online. But I've had to order half of the Hammond collection ones online because they just don't show up in the stores until like months later. And they're so inconsistent. You never feel like you're safe with them actually showing up in stores. They do show up and there's like 2 on the shelves initially. You don't know if they're going to come back if they sell out. It just sucks. I mean, that's the biggest disappointment here is that Mattel just shits out dozens and dozens and dozens of figures, and good fucking luck finding the one you actually want. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. It'll probably be a little while until I get my hands on the next set of figures, I imagine. It was pretty big gap, I think, between the Concavenator and what came before that for me. Basically, once I started getting my hands on the new figures, that previous wave, that they kind of all ended up falling into my lap. Kind of it's like water flowing through a failing dam, you know. Eventually the dam gives way and then it all comes at once, kind of like that, I think. Anyway, let's end this one here until next time, whenever that may be.